people at home. So for those of you that don't know who I am, my name is Toni Derrick and I'm a guest presenter over on Create and Craft. And welcome to the lovely live studio. This is where we meet every single day at 3 o'clock to inspire one another. So welcome all the lovely faces that are here already. We have Jan, Lorraine, Elizabeth, Amanda. So welcome everybody. I hope you're all well. Let's just have a look. So Carol Clark's granddaughter is 17 today. So happy birthday, sweetheart. She's probably not watching, but at least Carol knows we are sending birthday hugs to your granddaughter, sweetheart. So welcome to the studio. So what we're going to do in the live studio today is we're going to visit the second stamp in the Craft Academy range. So if you are just tuning in for the first time, we are doing a 12-week program where you can craft along with me and use the stamps if you want to, or maybe not use the stamps and use what you've got in your stash. So week 1 we did the fabulous staircase, which you've all loved. I've seen all of your fabulous makes and it's been absolutely amazing. So well done to everybody that got involved. Even if you didn't buy the stamp and you did it with something you already had in your stash, I'm already super proud of you for just sitting down and doing it with me or doing it in your own time. I'm probably using a stamp that you probably wouldn't thought you would ever use, ever. So well done everybody. So the second stamp, which we're starting today, is this lovely one here, which is You Are My Adventure, and it's the lovely trees on the landscape there. So you can see it's just a beautiful stamp and it's super large, and it's going to make you step out of your comfort zone again. Now I'm not sure if we're having difficulty or not. Are we still getting the comments coming through? Can you just send a message just to let us know everything's running smoothly? We're not sure if we're having a few hiccups at the moment. So I'm going to be using this one. And then you will also be aware that I launched the third stamp in the collection, which was the lovely swing, and that's obviously the tuition for that one's coming. And if you do like any of the products, this one is, look how big it is, it's super huge. Yep, it's all coming through fine. Well done everybody. Yep, everybody's there. Whew, I was thinking I was just talking to myself. It had all sort of like frozen a little bit there, so it's all okay. Oh, okay, so this is the beautiful stamp we're going to work with today, and then we're going to show you just quickly the swing, which is the following weeks on there for you, so you can get an idea off to my right here of the of the samples that you can create using these lovely stamps. And these are what we're going to focus on over the next couple of days. If you do like any of the products, all you need to do is go to our website, www.stampsbyme.co.uk, and pop FBL into the search engine, and that's where you'll find all of the lovely products that we use in studio and the lovely Craft Academy. I do have a few things to tell you about though, so all of my information's now been wiped clean, so I'm going from what is in my memory. So basically, on Monday I have a sales show on Create and Craft, I've got 2 live hours, which means I won't be in studio on Monday. So what does that mean to you guys at home? Basically that means that we'll be launching the 4th stamp in the collection on Sunday. So I'm just bringing it forward a day to 3 o'clock, the same. So I'm with you tomorrow at 3 o'clock doing some inspiration with this one, tomorrow, Saturday, and then Sunday, 3 o'clock, I will be launching the 4th stamp in the collection, and we'll also be doing some lovely tuition with this lovely tree stamp on there too. What I will say to you though, ladies and gents, that on Monday when I'm on TV, we have an ultimate sale, and it's going to be amazing. Now all I will say to you is, if you've just started following us over the last maybe year or so and you're quite new to Stamps by Me, we have launched some absolutely fabulous products maybe a year too. We've had lots of amazing products that people have absolutely enjoyed using them, making lovely cards and things. We've brought some of them back to TV, so on Monday at some superb prices, and I'm not kidding when I say superb prices. So make sure you tune in at TV on Monday or record it and just see if there's anything that takes your fancy, because once the products are gone, they are absolutely gone. We will not be bringing them back, they are being retired. So we've got some lovely bundles, and when I say bundles, I'm not trying to frighten you with the price, but the prices are like bundles for the price of a stamp and a die. So be sure to tune in, they're going to be amazing. And that's Monday at 1:30 and 7 p.m, I believe. Check your schedule on your Sky or online, and then you can record it as well if you want to. Okay, so make sure you tune in for that one, guys, because if there's something that you've had your eye on in the past and it's sort of like got lost, you might be back in. So I'm super excited about that one. I love everybody to be able to grab a bargain or try something new, and some of the products in there you've probably not seen for a long time. So that's super cool. So that was one thing I needed to tell you about. The second thing I needed to tell you about is, now don't crash my website, but the blending brushes are available online. However, they're not coming in stock until next week, but I have put them on to prevent a big clog, basically. So if you do want the blending brush, you just pop FBL into our search engine. I will quickly show you them now before we go into some tuition. And if you've had your eye on a specific style, then you can pop on and get them. I know a lot of you have been waiting patiently, so thank you very much. And they are going to be here next week. I have popped the date on when we plan to send them out. So basically, if you order them now, they're obviously not in the building, but we have had a scheduled date for delivery next week. So I've put a date on there, so please read it fully so you're fully aware that you are waiting for your product. But I have put it out there because I just need to know how many people want these brushes and see if we're going to have another problem where we're going to be waiting months for more. So I hope that's okay. Again, just a quick reminder, Royal Mail, it's taking a lot longer than normal. We do get a lot of emails asking where the parcels are. We are absolutely happy to help and send you tracking numbers and things, but the tracking numbers have been down for Royal Mail for over a week now, so we haven't been able to track and trace anybody's parcels, which is a little bit frustrating, and they have been taking a little bit longer than 5 days, but all the same, we are very grateful that they are still running. Okay, so I think that's the admin side of things out of the way. As I said about the blending brushes, there are a couple of styles of blending brushes on there. They come in a set of 3. I'm quickly going to just show you through them. They have different handles, and I have a third one, but guess what? It's in my bag, and I'm not sure where my other bag is. So, oh, sorry, it's down on the side. Let me just grab it for you, ladies and gents, because I know a lot of people haven't seen them. Sorry about that. Just sit down. So I'll just move my Eureka out of the way very quickly. So basically you have 2 that are this sort of shape here. So you can basically see they have a carry handle on the top, and they are housed in a lovely case, so you can look after them and pop them in your stash, and you know that they're good to go basically. So this one with the round handle has a super smooth base. They are a self-cleaning brush, so you do not need hundreds and hundreds of brushes. You get 3 in the set, and that's probably, you only need 1 set. You don't need hundreds of brushes, and they're self-clean. So when you've used the colour, take it onto a piece of cardstock, rub it off, and it's ready for your next colour. They are amazing, self-cleaning hair on there. So that's the flat one with the round handle. And then you've got the clickability in there. You have this one here with the like diamond shaped head here. If you pull that out, you'll probably see it's got, don't know if you can see that, there are balls on the end of the hair. Now these are brilliant for texture through stencils, so they give you a spotty effect. You can do the lines down paper with different variations of ink. There is nothing like this on the market at all, I will tell you that now. This is so, so unique, and it gives you such a superb texture, dimension through your stencils, down your pieces of cardstock, around the edges of your work. Absolutely gorgeous, that one. So if you like a bit of texture and like something different, this is a nice one. And then the last one has this curved handle here for the people who struggle and have dexterity problems. So they can put their hand underneath, and the support there is there with their thumb and not with their hand and wrist. It's also got curved hair on there. You can see that it's curved, so the pressure is not needed as much as you would with this flat one. So I would probably say if you get cramp from holding a handle upright like that, then you need to go for this. If you have wrist issues, you need to go for this. If you are just a general everyday colouring backgrounds and things like that, this is perfect for you. So it's down to what's going to work for you. There are 3 types, and this one has the click lid on there as well. So they are going to be housed together. So that's a quick rundown of the fabulous brushes. Thank you for your patience on those, ladies and gents, but finally we can breathe. I'm just going to have a drink of my coffee. Don't forget to remind me. And if anybody has got the brushes, who's probably a lot of you already have actually, if you have got them, pop a comment on and let the other people know what your thoughts are, and I'll pay you all later for giving good comments. I'm only joking. Yeah, if you do use the brushes quite often like I do, just let us know your thoughts. So let's have a look. So in each set, you buy them a set of 3, they are all the same. So if you buy this set, they are all the same. If you buy this one, they are all the same. You get 3 of that one. So basically, my method and my thought behind it all was if you bought that one with 3 in, you would never have to buy another brush, okay? So albeit they are self-cleaning, you've got 3 and you are good to go. Same with this one and same with that one. Is that my son at the door wanting to come in? Come on in, darling, it's okay. So let's move on to our fabulous demonstration then. So we're going to be using the fabulous trees and You Are My Adventure, and we're going to do something a little bit different today, ladies and gents. So if you have in your stash maybe some inks of any form, these are the ones that we've been using over the course of the week, but any inks in your stash, it's not you know, we're not precious about what you use. We don't ask you to come onto the website and start buying everything, because if you want to, you can, but you know, you will have predominantly all you need in your stash. And if you can see here, I've got my little basket with some of my watercolour pens in. So I've got a variation of colours and flowers and colours and pinks and greens and things like that. So we're going to be using those today. If you haven't got my watercolour pens, have you got Tim Holtz Distress pens, or can't think of any other watercolour pens? Any watercolour pens in your stash will work fine. If you sat at home and thinking, do you know what, I don't have a single watercolour pen in my stash at all, what's the alternative? Then you just need to refer back to your ink pads, and I'll show you both techniques with your ink pads and with your pens. Okay, so how many people are crafting along with us today? Let me know. Right, let's grab our Eureka. Spectrum Aqua, we're being told by Janet, if you've got those in your stash maybe. Okay, so I have a piece of watercolour card here. Let's tell you the size, because I know a lot of you do like to craft along and do exactly the same. So the size is 17 centimetres tall by 14 wide. 17 by 14. So let's pop it on a landscape here. So any of the stamps that we've used in the Academy, you can go back, the videos never disappear. They always go onto YouTube as always, and they're always going to be there for you. So if you do want to go back or skip one or join one, you can do that too. There's no rules basically. And the lovely thing is as well that if you do purchase one of the lovely stamps, we are giving £1 for every stamp sold to our local food bank, and we'll update you at the end of the 12-week programme how we've actually done. So first of all, I'm just popping the lovely trees onto this piece of card here. Can we see here? So I'm just trying to get the image on this piece of card best I can, albeit I've chopped a little bit off here by error. How did I do that? I've no idea. Yep, 17 by 14, thank you, Tracy. So all we're going to do is we're going to create a scene today. I'm going to try and get 2 cards in if we can, but we're going to try and create a scene. And I'm going to show you a different way of doing it, which is a lovely way. So I've just popped it onto that watercolour card there, and I'm just picking that stamp up. So over the course of the 12 weeks, I'm going to try and show you a variation in styles. So we know that our stamps and our ink pads work with our stamps, and that's a given. We do it every day, don't we? Most of us craft every day. But I'm going to try and show you different ways of stamping into ink and using your pens direct to your stamps and just chopping it up, because I appreciate there are brand new crafters every single day, and you know, So you just need that little bit of a spark or that little bit of inspiration, and then that journey sort of like snowballs, doesn't it? A bit like my day today. So I've got my watercolour pens here and I've got some trees, so I'm going to grab a couple of shades of green. Now, is anybody crafting along that doesn't have watercolour pens? If you could let me know, and then it would help me make a decision on how I'm going to do this. 4 boxes of ink pads, my gosh. You can only use one at a time, Lorraine, you know that, don't you? I'm telling you this and I've got probably the same. We need a Toni every day. Poor you. Right, so Adele hasn't, that's fine. Got my stamp today. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. I have pens. Okay, so let's go as if you are. So Adele hasn't got the pen. So Adele, if you have 2 shades of green, maybe, or a yellow and a green, think of your autumnal colours for your trees. And I tell you what we will do then, seeing as some of these people haven't got the pens and some have, I'll chop it up, I'll use both, okay? But if you want to just use your pens, you can. If you want to just use your ink pad, you can. Obviously, I'm never going to be able to assist and help everybody at the same time, but the inspiration is going to be there for you. So let's crack on with our first demonstration. That's why you're all here. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some green from my watercolour brush. Now if you're using an ink pad, just put some green on the tree heads, and I'm just going to scribble some of this lovely green on the side. So I've got my brush on its side. I'm not using it on a point like that, ladies and gents. Turn your brush on its side and let's get some green on these trees. Now I'm not covering the whole of the stamp. I'm just going down the side of each tree with the brush. So I'll get that ink on there. So you could either breathe on the stamp and hydrate it. I'm just going to give it a little spritz with some water, not much, just a little bit, and I'm just going to stamp it onto my card. And this is where we create our own unique, fabulous watercoloured images. So we can see there we've got some fabulous trees going on. I'm just going to leave that be. So let me just grab baby wipe. So I'm just going to clean that ink off there. So don't move your stamp and don't move your artwork, because you're going to build a scene. So if you are using maybe ink pads, so all you would do is go down the side of the tree with the ink pad. So for this one, for the other side of the tree, I'm just going to use an ink pad and I'm just going to spot it in some areas. But if you're using pens, just use a different shade of green and spot a different shade of green around, okay? So I'm just going to spritz this with some water and then press this one down. Like so. Can we see our trees are coming together there? So I'm just going to grab my brush now and a bit of water if you want to. And all we're going to do is we're just going to tease that colour around a little bit, and I'm just going to pounce with the side of my brush that colour in. Can we see that there? So nothing fancy, just pounce it in with the side of your brush, bring it together, blend it together a little bit if you're feeling you've got a little bit of lines going on. Got a bit of a line there which I'm not quite. Like so. So I think we could get away with a bit more green in those trees just to bring them to life a little bit. So I'll go back to my pen this time, say. So, but you can chop and change with your ink pads, don't forget. You can chop and change with your pens and your ink pads, which is fabulous, isn't it? So I've got a different shade of green now. We are really going to town here. So let's maybe pop some green at the base of the trees this time, just to create a little bit of perspective on there. So when you spray, don't spray it so it's soggy wet, because you'll end up with just a puddle on your work. No, so this spritzer is my Pearly Winks glitter pearl spray, but I used it all, so I kept the spray bottle and just popped some water in it. So yeah, it's just one of those, it's nothing fancy. There we are. So can you see we're starting to get a little bit of texture in our trees here? So I'm just going to take out the blobby ink and flatten it down a little bit. So I'm just using the side of my brush and I'm just using that pouncing motion. Like so. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drag some of this green up into this area here. And into this little area and here. Try not to be too precise with it, because the more precise you are, the less realistic it looks. Try and give yourself a break, basically, and just go for it. At the end of the day, it is a piece of card and it can go in the bin if we don't like it. So there we go. So we've already got the heads of our trees going on there. I am going to dry those off because we're going to move on to the brown trunks of the trees. So remember not to move your artwork or remove the stamp. There we go. So let's see if we've got a nice coloured browny colour in here. So there we have. But again, your ink pads will serve the same purpose. So here we are. So my pen is on its side and I'm just going to pen in those tree trunks. There's a bit of brown up there, right down to the grass. Now if you don't spray, I'm going to show you now what happens if you don't spray. You get a more of a clean line. So it's down to personal preference really. So let's not stamp this one so you can see the difference. Sorry, let's not spray this one, not stamp. Can we see there? So we've got our lovely trunks coming together. But to make it more realistic, again with your brush, take the brush and then just pull some of that colour out and fill in those gaps like that. Because we want people to look at this and go, did you paint that? So I'm going to go back in with the brown. I'm going to add, because I've got green on this bit here, so I need to go higher with my brown this time. Take it right up into that tree, and this one as well needs to go way higher up there. Need to go back over there. So it's just a case of popping that detail in and revisiting the areas where you haven't got the detail. And because everything's still in situ, you can repeat this process so many times. So let's get some. There we go. Can we see now how the brown is actually going up into the tree? So don't worry if the green comes down onto here, because you can always go over it, can't we? So let's get our lovely grassed area. And I'm going to use some different coloured greens on this one. If you're using ink pads, spot different coloured ink pads around. Spray with water if you want to. The great thing about pens, I know Adele actually has them, she just doesn't have them with her. But the great thing about pens is you get the precise, aren't they? They've got a nib on them. Whereas with ink pads, you're a bit limited because they're a little bit bulky, aren't they, to get in with all the detail. But you can still get a lovely watercoloured card with ink pads, you know. So, right, I'm just going over this grass. So let's do all of the grass at the base of these trunks. And if you're unsure where there's detail, a great tip for you is put the stamp image in front of you and you can see where the detail is. So I can see around the back of there, can we see we've got like a grass line around the back there. So I know that that's a grass line, so I'm going to go in with that green and fill that grass line in there. So that's a great tip, is to, you know, follow the stamped image on there. And then we've got our lovely grass green. So then I'm just going to grab a wet brush, but I'm going to practically dry it off so it's wet but near on dry. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of water in here just to soften those lines a little bit so it doesn't look so harsh. Bring it together a little bit. And this is where you actually turn into an artist, because you are actually playing. So follow the lines, just soften those lines just a little bit. So don't put too much water on. If you put water on and you end up with a blob, your brush is too wet, so your brush needs to be practically dry. So there we have some lovely green going on, but if you wanted to add texture in there, you could take maybe like a brown and just add some lines in of brown, just random, not all. And then when you stamp it on, you'll have a little bit of variation in colour. Not much, but enough to suggest. There we go, can you see that there? How cool does that look? Right, so let's get this lovely path. So we're here, you can see we've got like a path line, a curb. So we're going to get this lovely curb in here. Now I'm going to go practically sticking to the same colours, which is okay, but let's chop it up a little bit. So I'm going to use like a mustardy colour, very light mustardy colour. And we're going to get this lovely curb on here. So I'm going to go along that curb, and in fact I'll drag it onto, can you see how there's some shading in the path? I'm going to drag it onto there too, so I can just see where we're going with it. We can always make it darker and go over it with our pens. So let's pop that in there this time. So you can see the difference in your trees because we sprayed them with a bit of water, didn't we? And then this base part we haven't sprayed with water, so it's personal preference what sort of look you're trying to achieve. Can we see that there? Spraying, not spraying, it's entirely up to you. So again, I've wet my brush, I'm taking off the excess water so my brush is practically dry, and then I'm just going to drag some of that colour out into that path and along that curb. Don't be scared to extend the watercolour beyond the design, okay, because it just looks a little bit more arty if you have the courage to do so. There we go. So it's coming together, isn't it? So you can see the process within your Eureka or whatever platform you're using. So what we're going to do now is we are going to do the extended side here on this side. So let's get, shall we go for another green? Let's have a look at the picture. It has actually got the curb, so let's repeat the curb over. So, sorry, is that in shot? Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this colour and do the curb on this side. So it's coordinating, so it looks like the path's been made out of the same thing. And we'll stamp that first. It's lovely seeing the image come together, isn't it? So there we have like the path coming round. Now you could actually get away with making this into a river if you wanted to. So again, I'm just going to get my practically dry brush and drag some of that colour out. Like so. In the horizon of this stamp we have like a bit of foliage in the background, so I'm just going to go on in with the green. Is there anywhere else we need to accent? Nope, just there. So you can see there, it's just a little line of like foreground and background. And then I'm just going to grab my paintbrush and we're just going to drag it out a little bit, tease it out. If the less water you have in your brush, the more control you have. If you go in with a really heavy wet brush, it's really difficult to control. So less water, more control. Okay. So what about our lovely path here? Let's get some colour on there. So I'm not going to, because the stamp is empty there, we're going to fill that space ourselves. So I'm just going to scratch some of this colour onto my Eureka lid. I'm just going to pick up some of the colour, nothing fancy. I'm just going to paint some of this detail into this path. So I'm just dragging a really light wash. So if you're using your ink pads, pop some of the ink pad colour onto your Eureka lid or whatever platform you're using. So here's now where you start to sort of like have quite a bit of fun. You can start adding some brown into the trees, making them darker, lighter, whatever you want to do. So fill in those gaps. And then maybe pop some light areas of darkness in the path so the path doesn't look super smooth. It looks a little bit like a path would be. That makes sense. Can we see that there? So it's coming together, but there's still so much you can do. So let's get a bit of green on our lid here, and let's fill in this sort of side area here. So just add a suggestion of green. I'm not, you know, filling it in so it's precise. I'm just go within there. Bit more green up here. And there are absolutely no rules. Okay, so I haven't got a dark watercolour pen, so I'm just going to use my dark brown ink, my walnut stain. Mix a little bit of that up, and I'm just going to darken my path a little bit because it looks a bit washed out at the moment. So I'm just going to bring some brown into there, darken it up a little bit. And to create perspective, it's always good if you can put a bit of colour to the right and drag it in, and a bit of colour to the left and drag it in. Follow the lines on the stamp. Can we see that there? So I've created like a little bit of a rugged path on there, if that makes any sense at all. And again, there are no rules. Go for it. If it's not what you like, put it in bin, get another piece of card and use a different colour. So we've created like a little bit of a walkway there, nothing fancy, haven't we? So I'm using a size 4 brush. I always use a size 4, it's just my go-to brush. And I always would say if you're buying brushes, you don't need them all, albeit I do have lots. You don't need them all. Probably you need a 3 to an 8, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 6 or 7 brushes for your washes on your backgrounds and your detail. And that's probably as much as you need. You don't need all the rigger brushes and fill bare brushes and all that sort of stuff. Not unless you're wanting to take it quite seriously. So I'm not moving my stamp. What we need to do now is we need to seal this. Okay, have we got any questions? Sorry, I'm absolutely lost in thought. I've completely forgot about my coffee. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to seal this. We're going to, if you've got some clear embossing powder, hopefully, fingers crossed, and we're going to seal all of that artwork. So, and this is a great trick if you're wanting to do backgrounds and things. So I'm just going to anti-static all over the image. I mean, after air, you can go and take this away with you and do a far more detailed image than what I've done here. I'm mindful that, you know, a lot of crafters on here might be new crafters or not as advanced as some others, so I have to sort of scale it and sort of like hit the middle so everybody, it doesn't frighten anybody as well. So the numbers, the colours of the pens, if you are wanting to craft along, I have 11, 62, 4, 15, and the two other ones are 23 and 74, and I think these are out of your big set, sweetheart, but I'm not sure, don't hold me to that. But those are the colours. So if you bought the floral set, the 12 set, you've got enough greens in there probably to achieve this. So let's get a sticky ink pad, and this is going to seal all of that colour underneath, which is then going to give us the capability to blend on top of it and not destroy what's underneath. So this is going to sort of seal all the work you've done, and then it doesn't matter what you do over, it's not going to lose your detail under there, which is super cool. I am going to do it twice just to make sure I haven't missed any detail. just grab a piece of card. So then we'll pop some clear embossing on there. So I have the lovely Claire's embossing powder, but if you've got a clear one in your stash, it will work. So I'm just going to throw clear all over our image here. So everywhere where we pop that stamp image, it's going to seal that colour underneath, which is going to be fab. So you can see it's gone like a dull colour there. Can we see that there? But it will soon come to light, or soon brighten up, should we say, as soon as we heat set it. So let's get our gun really hot before we go anywhere near our artwork. And you can pop your pens away now. You just need a couple of ink pads now, so you can start to tidy up a little bit if you wish. Get rid of your embossing ink pad. Probably get rid of your water and your brush. So let's heat set this one then. And then what happens is that when the clear embossing heat sets, your colour will come back through. So if you're stamped in black, and because we got our gun really hot before we took it to our card, I'm not getting as much cockle in my card. I'm not getting them nasty waves. There we are, so you can see that now. You see a lovely little path, you can see the glossiness on it there, can't we? There we go. So that's sealed now. So if you haven't done this technique, it's a great technique. And basically that's captured the colour underneath. So when we come to blend over the top, the colour underneath stays true. So no, you don't really have to mask your trees off if you don't want to. So let's just get rid of this one. And let's blend in a lovely sky. So at this point, let's just give it a brush. So all the areas where you went in with your brush, so let's just get some nice sky colours here. So I'm going to use a Mermaid Lagoon for the sky. Let's create a bit of a sunset similar to the one that's behind here. Can we see here? So a yellowy, orangey colour. So let's go with Carved Pumpkin. So whatever colours you've got in your stash, if you want to do a midnighty sky, a bit similar to this one with the blues and purples and things, that would work also. So let's have a look what colours we've got going on here. So I've got a nice bright yellow, Carved Pumpkin, this one's Squeezed Lemonade, and then we've got Broken China. I'm going to swap Mermaid Lagoon because it's got an aqua undertone. So get rid of those. Right, so I'm just going to get a piece of scrap paper for underneath, so when I come to do my blending it doesn't go all over my nice new mat. So let's get our brush. So I'm using the one that's flat and the round on there, but it's personal. This is my personal preference. I like the good grip on this one, but again, the other one is for the lovely ladies who, you know, have difficulties with fingers and thumbs and, you know, dexterity problems. So what I'm going to do, obviously that's now sealed, so it doesn't matter what I put on top of that, it's never going to go through. What you do need to be mindful of though, you painted this part, didn't we? So that's not sealed, we've painted that. So you need to stay away from here, but you can absolutely go over the trees with no problem at all. So let's go with a sunset, like somewhere here. And this is the way that I do it, if it's right or wrong. But it works for me, so if I can help and it works for you. All I do is I get a piece of card and I pop it on my skyline up to where my stamp is, and then I'm going to get some of the lovely yellow and just test it on here. Might be a little bit too subtle, this yellow, we'll go with it. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to start to circle motion in the centre here and try and get a little bit of a sunrise. Now I'm not getting anywhere with that yellow, I will be there all day. So let's swap it out. I'm going to go with fossilised amber, see if this is a little bit brighter. Yeah, so pop that on there and then circle motion off my card and into my artwork just in the centre. And this is where it's fabulous because your trees are going to be unaffected. Keep that card straight. I'm going to try and get it as intense as I can on there because I would like a really lovely sunset, and I'm going to then go round it with the orange. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the arch, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to fade it off so it doesn't look like it's just been plonked in the middle. So take it down the sides a little bit, just a little bit, not too much. And I'm just going to try and make this a little bit more intense. So there, can we see we've got a little bit of a sunset going on there in the background, haven't we? The Maya paints. Which ones, Tina? Which paints are you referring to, darling? Let me know. So I've just got a little bit of a harsh line there, so I'm just going over with the yellow and sort of tying it together so I didn't end up with that. I had a little white line I didn't like. So there we have the lovely yellow hue there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to pop some orange round and create it as if you're going to be walking down this beautiful path. So I'm just going to pop that back on just in case, because I don't trust myself and I'll probably get it all over the rest of my artwork. And we're going to use carved pumpkin. Gail, the blending brushes are in stock next week, but I have loaded them onto the system for you if you are patient to wait for them. As soon as they land, they'll be sent straight out to you in the post. Thank you for everyone for their patience on them as well. So let's get this lovely orange. And again, I'm going to do as if it's coming round that lovely yellow. So just take your time with it, just enjoy it, that's what it's about, isn't it? Get that lovely lay down of colour on there. Let's get the orange through here too. Now you could pop a little bit of blue in the sky too, to suggest, it's still quite sunny. But I'm absolutely going for the sunset feel. I might even pop a little bit of red round here if I dare. So I'm just bringing it down, up and connecting it with that lovely yellow that we've got going on there. I've sort of lost that yellow a little bit now, which is a bit rubbish. Can we see that there? Sort of lost our yellow. So I need to go back in and brighten that, but nothing lost. I'm going to keep going with this orange though first. Get a lovely lay down of colour. Like so. And then let's just clean our brush and let's move back onto this lovely yellow. Get lots of that yellow on my brush, see if I can get this super intense. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Don't be scared of it at the end of the day. It's a bit of ink and card, isn't it? Just go for it. You might actually surprise yourself. In fact, I know you'll surprise yourself. I surprise myself every day. So you can see there we've got that lovely yellow, then we've got that orange, but to make this yellow pop a little bit more, because that yellow isn't quite as dark as I probably would like, I'm going to take a little bit of red. I'm just going to accent a little bit of red around the edge, and what that'll do is it'll draw your eye into the yellow. So let's just clean my brush. Let's move on to this red. Let's just see how red it is. Right, and just put a little bit on. A little bit, she says, and then you can always build on it. So this is creating like a hue. Can we see that there? So that's like the orange and yellow are bouncing off each other and creating this pretty red hue. So it doesn't look flat now, which is so cool. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it quite red behind this top tree here, just to give it a little bit of difference. There we go. So that might suggest that it's coming from another direction. See that there? Is that quite pretty? And you can just keep going and going and going. I've got like a little bit of a band there where I haven't quite connected the two colours, but there are no rules. Just because we've done that one doesn't mean we can't go back in with the orange. Make sure you do use the right colour though. So for people asking about the lovely blending brushes, yeah, it's a set of three, set of all three same. So once you've bought that one set, you won't have to buy another set. You don't need, I mean, I know people like to buy 2s and 3s, but you really do have everything you need in that one set. Those three colours will serve you the purpose that you need. The self-cleaning, then as you can see here, I've used several colours. And I really don't need to have lots. So I'm just connecting that yellow and orange there. I honestly can say, and I don't like to sit here and say this is the best product on the market, because sometimes, you know, there are things that are better, and I understand that, but I can honestly say these brushes have been life-changing. My friend bought me some brushes which had this hair, and they were amazing, but the handle gave me cramp. It gave me severe cramp. And I just thought, what a shame, what a shame. This area of the brush was so fantastic, but the brush kept giving me cramp. I couldn't even like do a gradation on a card. So I went and found this handle, and then I asked for this handle to also be made for the people that have to hook when they colour, as in hook underneath a handle rather than hold like that one. And we launched them in summer last year, and you sent the factory into meltdown. Very unexpected. So which is fabulous really, because I know then that now it's a product that's going to be a staple item at Stamps by Me, and they probably will be going to TV at some point, but they're coming here first. You have been waiting for long enough. So there we go. Look how cool that looks. Does that not look like an artist card? I think that looks fabulous. Does anybody agree? Does that look fabulous? I'm not blowing, but I know, just because it's just so easy, that's all. And then look what happens when you mount it onto a card, maybe with a piece of gold mirror card or something. So that's the one that we've just done there. And then here is one where I stamped and made it a little bit darker, and that's got the heat embossed sentiment on there as well. So exactly the same concept in the gold as is on the black there. So personal preference, guys. You could actually do a blossom tree. Look at the colours on this one, and we will be doing this one with pinks in there. So chop it up and try the technique, but try it with lots of different colours, because there is so much you can do with them. So that's one quick, well, that's nearly taken up all my time, but I am going to move on to the next demonstration, because it is another one which is quick and easy card, but it's going to give you a great look. So I'll set this one aside. I will post a picture after the show, so you can pop a comment, and as always we will do a giveaway over on Facebook for the people that have commented on here and also commented over on Facebook. So I'll just get a tidy station. Is everybody happy so far? Did everybody manage to craft along with that one? I hope so. We did take our time with it. Oh, I know, Bernadette, it's freezing now though, and I can't drink coffee cold. I'll have one after studio. We've still got a lot of work to do. So let's grab our Eureka and let's do another quick demonstration for you. So a piece of white card, which is here. If I can pick it up. There we go. Lisa, I've seen your work. I've seen your work. You have the confidence, sweetheart. Your cards are amazing. There is no reason for you not to have confidence. I'm being given some hand signals, but I'm not sure why. Oh, sorry about that, ladies and gents. Somebody thought I'd finished in studio when we were talking, but we haven't. So what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to use the stamp, same stamp, we're going to use it in a different format though. So I'm just going to pop this stamp onto this piece of cardstock. Now this cardstock is just 5 by 7, it's a piece of A4 card cut in half. So this is the sort of look we're going to go for now, and seeing as we're into the ink blending method, I'm going to show you how I created this one. Pretty simple. So I'm going to pop it over here, look, and I'm just going to stamp this one in true black, nothing fancy. Now you can do the heat embossing technique if you want to, put some clear on there as well. It's entirely personal preference. And I'm just inking up this part of the stamp because I know that this part of the stamp is going on the white card. In the DL shape, should I say. Yeah, Lisa, your cards are amazing. You don't need any confidence, sweetheart. Right, so let's give this a push down. I'm just going to ink it up again because, as you know, my ink pads are drying out and I just haven't had the chance to get them replaced. And I will see, hope this is better. Let's try. Oh, we're getting there. Let me just use my other ink pad, see if this one's any better, just to get a crisper image. Fingers crossed. So when you come to do your ink blending around this one, what you need to be mindful of, I'm just going to leave that as is. What you need to be mindful of is that although these are fast drying inks, these VersaFines, they still stay wet a little bit. So don't now go in with your brush and start blending because you'll just smear it. Always blast it off with your gun. And if you can get into the habit of blasting off every single time you stamp something, it also helps with mucky paw prints, because if you're anything like me, you'll end up with paw prints all over your work, and sometimes you just don't have the biggest butterfly in the world to cover all these boo-boos. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to snip into this one. I'm going to take some of the image away, and this is where sometimes people struggle, because they find that because the stamp is like that, like an extended landscape shape, they think that's all it can be used for, and it's not. You can absolutely chop into your designs and make them different. I'm doing a DL card here, so I've cut it away there, look, and we have our lovely trees in the centre, and the path on the edge has been taken away. So I'll just pop that under there for now. So all I'm going to do is just pop this onto the top of my Eureka, and I'm going to, if you can see, I've created like a little bit of it, like there's a light, like a light in a street or something, and created this hue behind this tree. And it's so easy to do that. It's just a suggestion. And then the light from there is reflected down onto the floor a little bit. Can we see the lines in the floor? So I'm just going to show you this one quickly, and then hopefully you will give it a go at home. So I'm going to use, don't have very many blues, chipped sapphire. Let's go with chipped sapphire. And I'm going to use my brush again, just make sure it's clean. And I absolutely love this card, absolutely love this card. So I'm going to create the light first. So I'm just going to grab fossilized amber, it's a yellow, it's quite bright, and I'm just going to pop my brush on there, and I'm just going to turn my artwork on its side. If you can make the artwork work for you, turn it around. Don't be like this, trying to get the blend in there. Just turn it around and make it easy for yourself. Is that okay? So let's get some more of this, like let's create a light behind this tree. So all I'm doing is circle motion behind the tree. Get that lovely yellow on there. Could really do with some brighter colours in my stash. I have got quite a few ink pads somewhere, you know, it's just can't find them all. So popping that lovely yellow behind that tree and like suggesting there is a tree or a light coming from somebody's window or whatever suggestion. So just like that there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tilt my brush a little bit like that, and I'm just going to go down the lines which are in the stamp. And this is just going to look like some lights reflecting through those trees. Nothing fancy, 2 little blobs like so. That's it. So let's clean my brush. Let's get rid of the yellow on there. And then let's get a lovely blue. Make sure it's nice. And then this is where you just basically blend all over. So let's get this lovely blue on here. And this is where the brushes really, really do help. Because if you are doing a lot of blending, which this is going to take some covering to make it as dark as this look, you need to have the handles and the equipment that's going to help you do that. So I'm not going right into the yellow because it will create an ugly colour. So just connect the colours, don't sort of like blend them together, if that makes sense. So let's get some lovely blue on there. So there, that's at the top look, and then on the base. So again, I'm just going to connect it round that yellow. I'm not going to go, and in between that yellow where I've got that little mark, I'll just put a line down in the blue look. There we go. And then in the trees, so if you're watercolouring, you need a VersaFine ink pad, which is this one. Okay, and it's water resistant, so it doesn't matter what you pop on top water wise, it will not bleed. Like so. Can we see that there? So you can see already you've got your scene coming together beautifully. So I'll just show you this one, and then obviously if you pop some clear embossing over the top, make them shiny. Your ink pad is going to be darker than mine, absolutely. Mine's a little bit broken at the moment, should we say. But just while we're on this subject, quite quickly, I just want to show you another little thing. On here, I've left it all like blue and quite a crystal clear sky, as in a dark night sky. But what happens if you want to create like a little bit of a rainy scene, so it looks like there's rain in the background and things like that? If you just grab some water and just spray some water onto your hand and just flick it on, because the ink pads are reactive to water, just flick it on there, give it a second, and then either get a tissue or another piece of paper and just stick it on, and what will happen is you'll end up with like water flecks, which will just hold that up for you. Can we see that there? Which will look like you've got a bit of rain in the sky, as if it's coming through. It's drying. I'll just blast it off with my gun so you can see, because the water will get whiter. You can see it's bleached it out a little bit. Yep, the generation inks can be used too. I don't have access to mine. So if you've got your generation inks, that's absolutely fine. Just be mindful though that once you've heat set them, they are permanent. You can't reactivate them. They are watercolour when they are wet, but as soon as they dry, they are permanent. So you can see there, yeah, the VersaFine Claire's meant to be a good one. Can you see there the splats at the top here, which look a little bit like, you could actually create a beautiful Christmas card, snowy scene, with that sort of effect. So let's just move everything out of the way so we can see what we've done today, or get your pieces of artwork out to be super proud of. So we have this one here, which is the one that we've just done, and where's our lovely masterpiece from earlier? There we go. And this one, and the two that we've actually done live in studio are this one and this one. So you can see how lovely they both absolutely are. Absolutely gorgeous, aren't they? So have the courage to give them a go. They're not hard. It's a piece of paper. It can go in the bin. and I will post a picture after the show for you. So I hope you've enjoyed that one, stepping out your box big time with that stamp today. We haven't done that technique before, I don't think, so I do encourage you to get all your bits and bobs out and have a play with whatever you've got in your stash. It doesn't have to be my stuff, it doesn't even have to be the Craft Academy stamp. You might have something in your stash that's going to work. So I thoroughly enjoyed that hour. Thank you so much for being with me and taking my mind off everything else. So whatever you're doing, stay safe. I am back with you tomorrow at 3 with some more techniques using this lovely stamp, and then on Sunday I will launch the 4th stamp in the Craft Academy range. I'm so excited to show you it all, and if you have bought every single stamp so far, thank you so much. It is very much appreciated, and if you haven't, still thank you for tuning in every single day for the inspiration. So stay safe, stay cozy, have a lovely afternoon stroke evening, and I'll see you all tomorrow, Saturday at 3 p.m. Take care everyone, bye.